Mercy, I have all these prepared questions. I'm just going to ignore
Throw
them.
them out. Throw them out.
When you have someone from the White House, you have to submit questions in advance. Otherwise, they won't let them come. But
So he asked me who my favorite person was in his questions, and my favorite person is Matt Schlapp.
But let me start with this one. At the risk of stating the obvious, this is an unconventional president and an unconventional political figure. Right. So you, as somebody who had a more conventional communications background, how have you all built a communications infrastructure and strategy around him? It's kind of been a game changer, hasn't it?
Right, absolutely. This is my second tour in the White House, so I worked for President George W. Bush in his media shop as well. And working for President Trump is just one of the most remarkable experiences in my career. He is the communications director. He is the one who drives the message. And so we build all the support and all the implementation of what his vision is based on where his messaging is. And it's pretty easy to know where his messaging is because you go to Twitter. And I know that some folks are always like, they always ask the question, do you control the Twitter? Does anyone control the Twitter? The answer is no. But what I love about it is you know exactly what he's thinking.
That's for sure.
He is transparent in the process, so you know how he's governing. And I think he really has fundamentally changed the rule book when it comes not only to politics, but to communications. Why? Because for so long, people like us, people who love our faith, people who want to practice our faith and teach our children values, our church's values, American values, so many of those in the left want to shut us down every day. There is the church of the left that is intolerant of people like us. And President Trump fights for us every single day in every policy perspective to protect your liberties. And that's why I'm so proud to work with him.
Yes. The first rule of communications is know your audience.
Well, it's like
clearly
family.
Do. Now, let's unpack that just a little bit. You were talking about how he's really changed the way communication happens. I used to think that John F. Kennedy was the first television president. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the first radio president. He really perfected the fireside chat, found that was the way that he communicated directly to the American people. Obama, you could argue, was the first internet president, but it seems to me that Trump is the first social media president. I don't know what the number of followers is, but on Twitter alone, I think it's close to 70 million. And it appears to me that both he personally and you all as a White House have decided to go over and around the gatekeepers just directly to those people. Is that?
That's absolutely correct. I mean, not only is it just social media, which, as you mentioned, the numbers are astronomical. He has a huge following in all the social media channels, but it's also the regional media, the local media, right? Like we all think everyone sits around and watches MSNBC and what Joe and Mika have to say every day, but they don't. It's very Washingtonian, it's swampy, it's New York and DC. They love to tell people across the country what to do. Love it. They think they have all the right answers, which is not accurate. And so what we do spend a lot of time with is we work with local reporters who are willing to take the news for news value and talk to the president. Yes, they ask questions and they ask tough questions, but at least we're getting to the policy questions, right? Mm-hmm. It's not about this Trump deranged syndrome over here. It is about what is the president accomplishing? And what I can tell you, being in the room with the president, being in the room with the vice president, this is a results-oriented president. This president says we're making a decision and we're moving forward. And I think that is very refreshing coming out of politicians from Washington.
Yes. Now, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I get asked. But I get asked this a lot.
Right.
I know what my answer is, but given that you're the communications expert, what do you say particularly to those of faith who have an issue with some of the tweets, have an issue with some of the insults, and they say, you know, I love the policies. I love what he's doing. I love the fact that he stands for life and for religious freedom in Israel, but why do we have to have that? What do you say to that? What do you say to those people?
Yeah, I think the president is who the president is. And the one thing he's always said is that when someone attacks me, I'm going to fight back and not be silent. And I appreciate the fighting nature of this president. Mm-hmm. I think for too long, conservatives and even people of faith they're quiet. They get silent. They don't want to fight. They don't want to stand up because it's hard to stand up. You know, we had an incident in one of my daughter's schools where she started what's called the Constitution Club. And it's a club where she was able to recruit about 68 girls to this club. And the mean girls came out and said that it was the Trump racist club. These are devout Christians. These girls practice their faith. And the mere fact that you have these mean girls going out there in high school, it's not even college, like what Charlie Kirk is having to deal with and fight for every day, and God bless him and his organization for doing that. I am telling you, this is seeping into high school, where my daughter, who is going to a Catholic school, is faced with girls who are bullying and silencing the girls who simply want to practice their faith. And you know what? That kid, I don't know because she's a Schlapp, but she told me, she's like, Mom, I don't have to be the popular kid to impact change. And I'm saying if the 16-year-old can do it, we all can do it. Because you know who's with us? God. God. And so that's why, if we are true to our faith and true to our beliefs, yes, we will be persecuted. But then I always think about those persecuted Christians who are being martyred every day across the globe, who we have to pray for and know that they fought for their faith. How can we not fight for our faith in this land of freedom?
Well, Mercy, I can certainly tell you that our members and our activists are glad after decades of conservative and Republican candidates, the minute they got attacked by the liberal media, the minute they were called any of the number of things that they call all of us, you know, racist, misogynist, whatever the charge is, they would apologize and retreat. And it's nice to have somebody who, particularly when it comes to the corrupt media that tries to caricature our community every single day, it's nice to have a White House and a president that fights back and calls it what it is. I will tell you that right now. Now, tell me a little bit about, I've noticed that there seem to be, at this point, very few full-dress press conferences. I'm not asking you to reveal the playbook or the strategy, but the daily briefing is virtually non-existent. And yet, in many ways, this is the most accessible president we've ever had.
That's right.
In terms of the number of opportunities that both he and you as a staff structure him being asked anything they want to ask. And could you talk, was that an organic process where you figured out that he was more comfortable on the rope line on the way to Marine One, or was more comfortable with the scrum and the oval and he just kind of went? Or how did that all come about?
You know, I think at the end of the day, we know this president is has been very accessible to the press. He wants to answer the questions. He doesn't shy away. There's no shying away. There's not a shy bonus. Like, he doesn't shy away from the confrontation. He doesn't shy away from the difficult questions. He gives them the answer, and who better than to give him the answer than from his own mouth? And so mind you, I'm in the Sarah, I'm like completely sad that she's leaving. We're very close. She's one of my dearest friends. And I've been very blessed. And talk about a woman of faith. Talk about a great woman of faith.
Yes. Amen.
I hope the next governor of Arkansas, but we're not going to go there. But I love her dearly, and what they have done to her, what that liberal media, even her walking out the door after she served this country honorably, that is just simply disgusting coming from the press to treat her the way they've treated her. She speaks, she talks to them, she works with the press,
Yep.
She works the stories, and she has given them access and given them comments. And it's just unfortunate that so many in the press, and I'm not saying all of them, some of them are really genuinely great journalists, fair journalists, but the journalists are making it about themselves. It is about getting themselves on TV to just simply attack. You know exactly what their position is. They sound more like they're political pundits that are very biased as opposed to true journalists. And that's what's the fundamental problem, is that we've moved so far away from the objective, fair and balanced journalism to this, I hate Trump and I will do everything I can to destroy this presidency. And that's not, that media, that approach from the media is it's just disturbing, just simply disturbing.
You know, you worked in the Bush White House. I was part of the Bush political team. I saw all that.
We were so young back then. You should have seen Ralph back then.
I never thought that I would, see media bias, just unrestrained, not even pretending anymore to be fair. Is it because he's doing, after the election, a number of them publicly said, look, he's a lot closer to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer than he is Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. He was a Democrat for years. He gave money to Democrats. It's almost like they deluded themselves that he wasn't really a conservative.
Right.
Is it that they were wrong about that? Is it the policies? Is it the fact that they were proven so wrong about the 2016 election? I mean, I don't know if you all have ever done this, but one of my favorite things to do when I'm just looking to be put in a good mood is to go on YouTube and look at the election
watch the
night.
Democrat debate yesterday?
No, I go back and I look at the election night coverage on the major
when
network.
They're crying.
But in all sincerity, as somebody who is there in the bunker, in the West Wing, dealing with them, what is it? What explains the clinical condition of the Trump derangement syndrome? And is there anything that will snap them out of it?
The answer to your second question is no. But what I find hard sometimes is that you're in a meeting, you literally are there the whole time, you walk out, and then there's like sources close to the White House, and then they give a description of the meeting that didn't really happen inside the meeting, and you're going, are you kidding me? So they work off these sources that have a lot of faulty information. Now, I'm not saying, all of it is faulty. I'm not saying, it's just that this idea of sources gets complicated.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't necessarily tell the whole picture or the reality of how things happened. And, so it's a challenge. I mean, it is absolutely a challenge. I just find that when the president is getting 94% negative coverage, I don't know, there's gotta be something wrong. Yeah. I mean, it's like they don't wanna talk policy. They wanna talk about personality and him because they don't personally like him. They really think that they go so far on what they think about him. And that's why you see the Democrats and the kind of the collusion between the Democrats and the media on let's impeach, and let's impeach. That's where they want to move towards. This is why the Democrats are spending so much time in Congress on let's bring Mueller back, let's revisit all, although we have a Mueller report out there of over 400 pages. It's like, investigation is done, we need to move forward, we have to focus on what's important in America, which is that of ensuring that every American is uplifted, that there is great prosperity, that there's great liberties here in this country, and that we protect our democracy. Because where the left is going to take us is a dangerous path for America. I will tell you, my father, who was a political prisoner in Cuba, who saw a country be destroyed because of government control, because of the fact that they took away his liberties, because they thought that government was a solution to everything, where my father couldn't graduate unless you were a communist. I mean, this is where the Democrats are moving so far left, where they want government to be everything in our lives. And that is simply not America. That is not what we are built on. And it makes me sad to think that our country is even wanting to, that there's young people and Democrats who believe that it's either socialism or socialism light.
Couldn't agree more. Last question. You and your husband, Matt, I've known for many years and known to be very devout Roman Catholics. Your faith is very important to you. You're also pro-life to your core and always have been. And I will just say, Mercy, parenthetically, I was sharing with our delegates yesterday that there has never been a White House or an administration that had this many social conservatives, pro-lifers, and people of faith around a president, ever.
That's right.
And you can certainly affirm that. But as somebody who's been there in the room when the decision was made, and I won't go through all the decisions,
right,
but we know he's done a lot of pro-life stuff. Share with them, what it's like to work for him in terms of this issue and how true to his pro-life beliefs he's been.
I'm just going to say two quick things. One is, while I'm a devout Catholic, I joke around that I pray with my Presbyterian minister who I've been friends with for 20 years, and then I go to confession with my priest. So this is how I sometimes think I'm like an evangelical Catholic. I can go both ways. I love the evangelical community. They've been so important in my faith journey as well. And if you ever visit the West Wing, my office is called the West Wing Chapel because I've got my cross and my holy water and my rosary. So we do pray a lot in my office. I have had a lot of ministers who have come by and prayed because I feel very much that the only way to survive these battles is to make sure that faith is in the center of at least the work that I do every day. And so with the president, when we've had these discussions with him on these issues of pro-life, what I love about it is that you can be sitting in the room and there's like 5, 6, or 7 of us and you're kind of hiding in the sofa, and then all of a sudden you'll go, Mercedes, what do you think? And then you have to speak up and speak the truth. And on this issue of pro-life, where we as advisors have been able to guide him and he's heard different opinions, he's ended up always on the right side of this issue, on protecting the sanctity of life. And I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him because we grew up being pro-life fighters. Like, we understand that it is about protecting the most innocent and protecting the unborn. And when you see, and I'll never forget when Governor Northup came up and made those horrific comments on late-term abortion, and then you saw what happened in New York, and the president was outraged. And that's why in the State of the Union he goes, they got to stop executing these babies. And that came from him.
Yeah.
That came from the president. And so I'm and I think it's why we all have to be committed to ensuring that next year is a successful year for this president, because he is really been the leader and ensuring that we move forward on protecting life, on protecting our religious liberties, and on protecting our democracy. And that's the beauty of America. And we know what the other side has to offer. And what the other side has to offer would take this country into a dark place. And we want to be full of life, full of light, and full of God, because that's what when we bring that, that's the joy and really where we want our children and our grandchildren and our nieces and nephews to know that America is the greatest place on earth, and that we are blessed. We are a blessed nation, and we want to share our blessings across the world. And that's why President Trump has said we got to make America strong within, and we got to make sure our country is growing, and that those of us of faith can practice our faith and feel safe in this country.
Amen. Well, Mercedes, we thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
And please, when you go back, first of all, tell Sarah how much we love her.
Oh,
and tell her we're going to be praying for her and her new venture. And I mean this from the heart, and I know I speak not only for the folks that are in this room, but really the tens of millions of people out there that are part of our movement who see you on TV. They see you at the president's side when he does the news avails. I want you to know that we pray for you. We pray for your family.
thank you.
We're very grateful that you're there, and it encourages us to know that you're there, and if we have anything to say about it, both he and you are going to be there for a lot longer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. God bless you. Thanks for coming. Mercedes Schlapp.